Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Williamson County Sports Connection. I'm Jack Daniels, your host, and with me for today's show is the principal at Sunset Middle School, Dr. Tim Brown. Welcome, Tim.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing good, but I want you to start with where you grew up, where you went to school, when you decided to get into teaching, and tell us all about yourself.
Well, I was born in Ohio. Was raised in a small town called Bellbrook, and Bellbrook was a unique place. Tell you a little bit about Ohio is that I grew up during the Woody Hayes years, so football was very important. One stop sign and one stop light, I should say, in the middle of town, and it went to a rotating red on Friday nights at 7 o'clock. So, and everybody in that town shut down and was at the Friday night football game. So, grew up playing football there. Ended up going to what is now the University of the Cumberlands in Williamsburg, Kentucky. Ran track there. Got my degree in elementary education, and decided that I wanted to pursue a side track at the time. I thought it was going to be a side track. Then I thought it was going to be a career. Then we came back to teaching. But I got an ROTC. Did the Army for about 9.5, 10 years, very close to that time period. Decided after that I wanted to go back into teaching. That was my true love. So I ended up started teaching at Norris Middle School, and then started coaching there soon after. I met this guy named Jack Daniels at Anderson County High School. Mm-hmm. I guess that was around 92, 93, and started coaching football. Enjoyed that. Had some great runs there in Anderson County, and then Jack left in 97. He went to Brentwood High School, and then the following year in 98, there happened to be a science position and a coaching position at Brentwood Middle and Brentwood High that I followed him here. I guess it's been about 20 years now.
Well, it's only 16 years. Don't go that fast now.
It's been a while.
Years,
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So anyway, Brentwood Middle, taught science there, became the assistant principal there, decided that I needed a high school experience, went out to Page High School, spent quite a few years at Page High, enjoyed the time out there. That community is a wonderful community. Got the opportunity to become the principal at Sunset Elementary. And then subsequently moved over to Sunset Middle and just dearly love what I do. So,
well, that's a pretty good pass now, but I want to back up to the point where you ran track in college.
Yeah.
What events did you do?
Well, in college, it was interesting because in high school, something that our athletes, I guess, should learn is that you can be a very good high school athlete, but once you get into track, especially in college, and I think that's in any sport, that you're only as good as your last race. I ran a quarter in high school, started out as a quarter miler in college, ended up doing the 800. My times in the 400 just weren't as good as what they could have been, I guess, or should have been.
What is a good 400 time? Now, we 53 seconds?
No, that would be a 53 would probably be a good small high school time in this day and age.
That's what I'm thinking.
But, you could run 48 in college and guys were running 45s. Learned a lot because of the location of my college. We would go down to UT and run against people that were running those times. We would see people running quarters in 45, 44 seconds. Just amazing to see that a human being can run that fast. But as time went on, I ended up running the 800 because I wasn't fast enough to keep up with the quarter. And then I kind of became a 400 intermediate person when the coach needed somebody to run that race and we didn't have anybody else left. So I picked up whatever I could and did that. So
Well, you talked about that you went into the ROTC program,
right,
and then went into the military, and you spent about 9 or 10 years there.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that experience. You served time overseas?
I did. My first assignment, I had the privilege of working with General. I can drop names in military. I told people I could drop names all the time. Worked for General Swartzkopf. He was the division commander at the 24th Infantry Division, which was at that time located at Fort Stewart, Georgia, down in Hinesville, Georgia, near Savannah. And got the opportunity of working there. Had some time that I spent with the 1st Battalion, Ranger, 1st Infantry Division, I'm getting it all wrong now, it's been a long time, but the Ranger Battalion, I worked with them a little bit while I was there. Subsequently went to Germany, worked in a 93rd Signal Brigade, did a lot of field experience, And at that time, that's when the relationships between the Russians and us were not very good. And the Eastern Bloc was still in existence. The wall hadn't come down. But I was in Germany when the wall came down, which was an interesting time and an interesting experience to see the German country united. From there, I was deployed into the Persian Gulf for the first for Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and Provide Comfort. I was there for all 3 phases of that particular war, and then that's when, the decision to come home and get back into teaching was
now,
made.
is that in Kuwait? Were you?
We were actually flown into Saudi Arabia, and then subsequently, I never spent any time. I did go in and visited Kuwait, but I didn't spend any time in Kuwait itself. I was in Saudi or Iraq, either one. So.
Now, what was your rank when you came out?
I was a captain.
A captain. Okay. Well, we appreciate you serving our country, and we're always thankful about that. Let's talk a little bit about Sunset Middle. Well, I'll tell you what. Before we get into Sunset Middle, you've been elementary, you've been middle, and you've been high school. Now, which one of those 3 are, let's not say the most difficult, but maybe more challenging than the other?
It's interesting. People ask me which one. I've never been asked that particular question. I've been asked which one do you like the best, and I can say that each one of them have a unique experience. In elementary school, I'm just going to go before I answer your question. In elementary school, if you're having a bad day, just go to kindergarten lunch. They think the principal of the school is a hero, and you can get all the hugs and everything else that you ever wanted just by going to kindergarten lunch. The kids are just there. Their eyes are up. Oh yeah, absolutely. But to answer your question, I guess the job that required the most unique challenges probably was the high school. Being an assistant principal at the high school was definitely a unique challenge.
Sometimes about teenagers, they kind of want to get into a little bit more not mischievous type things, but anyway, you have probably a little bit more discipline problems you have to deal with as assistant principal, for sure. So at Sunset Middle, being the principal, you're overseeing the whole spectrum. I'll talk a little bit about athletics. Just off the top of your head, you know how many athletic fields you guys have outside? Because every middle school campus is a little bit different.
Currently we have 3, and we have a practice field that is requiring some work. Matter of fact, I'm just going to plug the spaghetti supper we're having next Tuesday.
Good.
At Sunset, we're trying to raise some funds to prepare that practice field so it can be used. Lots of rocks, has to be graded. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there, but it is there. So there are 3 active athletic fields. The multipurpose field, which we use for football, soccer.
Right.
We also have lacrosse and rugby out there, the softball field, and then the baseball field, which we've made changes and added things to each one of those fields every year that I've been there. We've added bleachers to our softball and baseball fields last year with concrete pads, and we've been very happy with the success that we've had with making our facilities better than what it was when I first got there.
Kind of go over some of the sports that take place inside the building then.
Oh my goodness. We have basketball, girls and boys, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teams. We have wrestling, which I'm very happy that I have a coach who doesn't cut in wrestling. We keep a multitude of students gainfully employed after school in wrestling, and it's very good for those boys. Cheerleading, both wrestling cheerleading and varsity cheerleading. Had fencing last year, although we're doing fencing at Ravenwood High School this year. I'm trying to think. There's
volleyball.
Volleyball, yes.
Yeah.
A great feeder system into the Ravenwood's volleyball school. So yeah, we have quite a few things.
And then off campus, I know that your tennis teams probably have to go travel somewhere. Your track teams probably go travel someplace.
Track team utilizes Ravenwood High School. We have a good relationship with Ravenwood. They're very helpful. Academic and athletically, we have a good relationship with them, and they allow us to utilize the track in the evenings. Our cross-country team is able to now, because we have opened up our fields and done a little bit, we've cut our own cross-country course there on campus, so we can actually host meets and do those kind of things. So that's been an added plus for us too.
And then you have, I'm sure, boys and girls golf teams in which they
go off camp,
in the WMAA. So there's a lot of things going on sports-wise there at Sunset Middle. You got any idea on how many kids may be participating in those extracurricular activities there at Sunset?
That was not a question I was expecting you to ask, but
What
I
do
know
you think,
that
how many kids you have there?
756.
You think at least a third of them probably?
I would think over a third.
Okay.
I would think it depends on the number of students that we count with the sports that we offer, and not counting students twice, needless to say, because we have a number of athletes that participate in a number of different. You'll see them go from football to basketball, or football to wrestling from basketball into baseball or track, and they're multi-sport students, and that's a great thing about middle school is they have the opportunity at that time to experiment.
True. And in our middle schools, we have 4 seasons, unlike other middle schools where they only have 3. So a kid could play 4 sports at our middle schools and participate all the way through from the time they walk in the door, practice every day or play a game until they walk out the door when they're in 8th grade going up to the high school.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you feel like that a responsibility, or do you feel like there's a responsibility, having been at the high school, middle school, that what kind of preparation should middle school be getting to help them when they take that next step to go up to high school athletically?
Well, I think that, in my opinion, when I see athletics hit a pinnacle is when the middle school coach has much of the same philosophy as the high school coach.
Yeah.
When those kids, from the time that they're 6th graders to the time that they're 12th graders, have that same philosophy, same love and care, and all those things take place, you're going to find a team that's going to be successful by the time that they're seniors. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a whole lot of talent, but it means that philosophy has carried through, and it becomes something that's secondary to them. So I think that's one of the key ingredients. But I think also in the middle school is just giving them the opportunity of playing on a school team instead of playing for. And I have a son a son playing for his daddy. There is a huge difference. Didn't know that until he got older, and I realized that that just wasn't a good thing. But playing for a team and a school is much better. And I can't say that it doesn't work. It does work for some, but for others, my son's personality and my personality just doesn't mesh well on the sideline.
I can understand that. I've been through that same picture before. Well, Tim, I want to drop back into the wrestling season that took place during October and November and finished up the first week in December. There was a special event that took place at your school, and if you would tell us about the young man, and just tell us all about what took place during that time.
Oh, it was one of those nights where we talk about how it wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't something that we practiced. It wasn't anything that it just basically happened, and it shows how good our community is. Not only Sunset Middle, but Freedom Middle. The young man from Freedom came in. He was a 7th grader. We asked if we could have Jared wrestle. Jared has cerebral palsy. Much restricted into his wheelchair for the majority of the day. Matter of fact, I just saw last evening, on a side note, saw him at the inauguration, and he was able to march. I saw that on the local news. But it was interesting because Clay Mays, John Sandella, my coaches, basically asked the Freedom coach, and I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. I wish I could think of his name, but if he could get a match with Jared, and they did, and it was taped. On a cell phone that evening. It was put on YouTube and it went viral. I spent. It started on Saturday morning. I started receiving emails from people that I'd never heard of, wanting to interview me, wanting to interview Jared, wanted to interview his dad, wanted to interview the young man from Freedom, the coach from Freedom, our coaches. It started on Saturday, went through Sunday, and I think I spent the majority of the day talking to the networks on Tuesday about something, and then consequently it ended up on Good Morning America. And I heard from people in Denver, I heard from people in Los Angeles that I hadn't heard from in years. It went worldwide, and I think it shows just what kind of community that we live in and how we all reach out and we make something good happen. We take lemons and make lemonade every single day.
Well, that's great. That's a great story. And for those viewers who haven't had an opportunity to see this match, we're going to show you that match for you right now.
Come on, Jared. Beast mode, Jared. Beast mode, baby. There we go.
Let's go.
Let's get physical. Get him, Jared. Get him. Get him. Get him, Jared. Get him, Jared. Push. Jared, push. Jared, push. Jared, push. Push. Jared, push. Jared, push. Choke him out, Jared. Jared, choke him out. Jared, choke him out, Jared. Woo! Hey, you go check coach. Woo! All right, buddy, give me some of that, baby. That's the way to take him down. Beast mode. Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy.
Hey, Jackie.
Welcome back, and that was such a great scene and atmosphere that took place in your gym, and the kids cheering him on, and that was just a tremendous event. Go ahead and talk a little bit about. Were you able to be at that meet?
That night I was doing daddy duties that evening, but I heard from my assistant principals about the situation, and also one of the principals, Lily Leffler, her son actually is a wrestler at my school, and she told me it was just it was tremendous to be there, be a part of that, and to see how it really came across. I don't think when you saw Good Morning America, I don't think there was a dry eye in the studio, and that was a case at our school. We showed it school-wide. We're proud of Jared. We're happy to have him. We're happy to have that kind of national attention and it was good, positive national attention that we've had. So it's been good.
Oh, what grade is Jared in?
Jared's in the 7th grade.
He's in the 7th grade.
Yes.
Man, that was a great story, and you know, I know there's a lot of people proud of that moment, and we're very proud of Sunset Middle and for the wrestling coaches and freedom coaches, and to make something like that happen.
Absolutely.
That's one of the good things about athletics. One of the great things about athletics. Well, let's talk a little bit about as far as parent involvement into middle school athletics. How important is that?
I think that the way I talk to my staff about parent involvement in everything that we do at middle school is very important. I think that we get them totally tied in elementary school, and then we kind of push them away, and we want them to take the responsibility. Learning responsibility is a good thing for middle schoolers, but I don't think that we want the parents just to up and leave. We need them. We want them in our buildings. We want them to be able to volunteer. I have no problems with a mom or dad volunteering to help in any way. A lot of our programs, I know our football program, we have a couple fathers that help us with ice and just making sure we have water at practice and making sure that we have, not that it wouldn't get done, but it just makes the job of the head coach a whole lot easier when you have some dads that are willing to volunteer and give of their time for things like that. So.
You mentioned earlier that you got a fundraiser going on. Is there a lot of fundraising that has to take place to help support athletics? Or are you guys taking enough money in at your gates in order to fund your athletic programs? Or I know the athletic fee probably then which you take up from the kids is a big help. But kind of talk a little bit about that.
The athletic fee, since we initiated the athletic fee, I think that's been something that's been very helpful for middle school athletics, especially middle school athletics. But the fundraising isn't stopped. There's still things that we're still bleachers at the softball field, concrete pads for those facilities that we had. That costs money. That was something that the SAC, Sunset Athletic Club, basically funded, raised the money and funded.
Right.
And so there is a need for it. Is it as great as a high school? No. A high school has a much greater need than a middle school. But there are things that we try to do. You know, our goal is to get the practice facility up and running so that we can have multiple practices going at the same time, so we get the kids home at an earlier hour so they can have more time for their academics. Middle school, it's an exploratory type year for them that they can participate in 4 sports if they wish, and when they get in high school, time's going to be limited. They're going to have to narrow that focus down to 1 or 2 sports that they're really going to try to concentrate on if they're not going to hurt their bodies.
About a year and a half ago, we had a survey in the community concerning transportation for middle schoolers as far as extracurricular activities. And our system we have started, Dr. Looney's been very proactive in trying to get activity buses put on middle school campuses. This year we were able to get 3 buses out onto some middle school campus, and his goal is to get every school with an activity bus. Do you see that as one of the major problems right now in middle school athletics as far as getting the kids to and from events? Y'all have a problem out there at Sunset? Because you guys are kind of at the very far northeast end away from everybody.
When we play schools, the principal at Fairview Middle and I constantly laugh. If I have a meeting at Fairview, I need to leave at dark 30.
Yeah.
We're the furthest apart out of all the schools in the county. So when we go to those places, we really are relying on parents to help us with transportation. We don't have an activity bus per se. There is one available to us if we needed it, and I know Dr. Laney would make that opportunity available for us. But really and truly, I come from a background growing up where, and I was in a junior high model, where we traveled as a football team, we traveled on a bus. When we traveled as a basketball team, we traveled on a bus. And I think that was very good as a team to have that unity, and it provided some team unity, to be honest with you, instead of traveling with your parents to and from the games. I'd love to see more of it. I know that's the way he's moving. I applaud him for his actions and with the activity bus, and I think it's great that we're going to go that direction.
One thing, kind of when you said that, I think kind of makes a separation between the youth leagues and rec leagues ball, where it's the parents taking them all to, and when you get to middle school, or definitely when you get to high school, I mean, most of the time your transportation is bus, for the most part, especially when you're going certain distances. But I see that as far as what you were talking about, the team unity, especially with football, it was that camaraderie thing, and plus get your game face on and get ready for the game prior, as old Coach Kerr used to do back when we was assistant coaches at Anderson County.
Yes. There isn't enough to be said. I mean, you don't know what, as a coach, and coaching at Brentwood Middle when I first got here, you don't know what the students are doing. And if you have them on the bus, then you know they are getting the game face on. Be it football, basketball, any of those kind of things, you know what their attitude is, and you can kind of set that tone. Being a head, being an assistant coach, either way, you can set that tone for your players. And I think that it would be good for us to move more in that direction.
Well, just I think about a month ago, I think we finalized the land contract for a new high school over there, not far from Sunset Middle.
Yes.
It's probably down the road, I think, off of York Road in Nolensville.
That's exactly right. Yes.
So it looks like a school may be moving closer as far as the facilities, the track, and that kind of stuff in which you'd be able to use. I'm assuming that all of Sunset would feed into that school, or have you heard kind of any talk like that? Or
I would assume that one of the board's ideas, or not an idea, but one of their things they're striving to do is have a true feeder pattern. I would hope that they could make that happen, but I also understand the realization of that numbers talk louder than sometimes what we want.
Right.
Having some friends of mine that have 5 different schools that they're feed into, I'm hoping that would become the case, but I'm going to let that decision be rested with the board.
Now, right now, though, are you a true feeder pattern to Ravenwood?
Yes.
Okay, so none of the kids go to Brentwood then?
No, none of the kids. Woodland feeds Centennial and Ravenwood. I think that's the only 2 schools that she actually, that Priscilla Pfizer feeds into. And then we feed entirely. My entire student body goes into Ravenwood.
Into Ravenwood. Do you see, and you may not know this, Tim, but do you lose a lot of kids to private schools?
Not many. I think that one of the things that probably lends itself for us, helps us with that, is that our location. We don't see many students go off to private school. I think one of the major draws is that Ravenwood has done such a great job. Why would you want to leave Ravenwood and go to some private school when you have such a good high school right there in the community? and it's good public education, probably better than some private schools.
Right, right. So as a principal, how many assistant principals you got helping you?
I got 2.
Can you tell us a little bit about them? Who's helping you?
It's interesting because I'm going to talk about Gidget first. Gidget Wash, and Gidget was with me at Sunset Elementary. Tried to get her to join me before, and then finally she did this summer. She decided that she was ready to make that move to middle school. Been a great asset. Her husband, Tommy Walsh, works for the Brentwood Police Department. Has 2 children. One's at UT, and the other one is now at Brentwood High School. So she's from Cheatham County originally, but she's a big UT fan and is just fantastic to work with. She does a really good job with the kids at my school. And the other one, believe it or not, is Kelly Ferguson. She was originally Kelly Sailors. And you'll remember her father was our superintendent.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, back in Anderson County. So JV was the superintendent of schools. Kelly is living in Franklin. Her son goes to Walnut Grove. Her daughter goes to Grassland Middle. She's been fantastic too. I told Dr. Wright that I couldn't ask for 2 better assistant principals. It makes my life so much easier having 2 good assistants.
Now, which one is kind of overseeing athletics?
That would be Gidget. Gidget oversees the athletics, yes.
And who is your athletic director there at the school?
Rick Hess.
Rick Hess.
Yeah, who is also the assistant volleyball coach at Ravenwood High School. And he was showing off his championship ring, his additional championship ring that he won this past fall.
I think that was probably 3 in a row for the Ravenwood girls.
I think it's 3 in a row, and I think he has 4 rings. His desire is to fill all of his hands. So,
is that right?
Yeah.
So if everybody wanted to know or participate in the fundraiser that you have, what's the fundraiser again, what you got going?
We're having a spaghetti dinner next Tuesday.
Okay.
We play host to Brentwood Middle. The Amicos is providing the spaghetti and the different pastas that we're going to have that evening. And our athletic department is putting together some tables and chairs, and we're going to have some silent auction items and a few other things like that. And hopefully we're going to take up some donations for the practice fields so that we can get that kind of taken care of.
Well, Dr. Tim Brown, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure getting to talk with you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you for joining us on our Williamson County Sports Connection. I've been Jack Daniels, your host. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tanir. I chose this book because the pictures are really good. This is one of my favorite pictures, and you can learn some facts about them too. This is one of my favorite facts. It tells a lot about history, and it tells you different types of countries and like cities. And like German's like friend, he really likes the sport, and he wanted German Stelson to come with him and do the race across America with him. And German Stelson wins the race.